A setback in the fight for peace after Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin have a 2-hour phone conversations, but the results are somehow disappointing. And 2 stranded NASA astronauts who were lost in space for 9 months are finally on their way back to Earth. Welcome to Bauernebel News. Marathon phone call is over, but the war continues. Unfortunately, U.S. President Donald Trump held a 2-hour-long conversation on the telephone with Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia. Of course, the main focus was to convince Russia to come aboard on a 30-day ceasefire in the Ukraine war. Of course, Ukraine has already agreed to such a first step towards peace, as many has hoped, but there is resistance from the Kremlin, and Vladimir Putin did tell Donald Trump that he is only willing to agree to a partial ceasefire. Certain areas of the war should be now included in the ceasefire. For example, attacks on infrastructure and energy sector, like nuclear power plants and the electric grid, as well as oil deposits and other infrastructure and energy assets. Agreed was also that there will not be any hostilities in the maritime war in the Black Seas. The weapons should be silent here as well. But the big but, of course, the fight on the front lines within Ukraine and in the Russian region of Kursk will go on. There is no ceasefire in sight. Of course, it is a big setback for Donald Trump. He has promised that he will bring peace to this 3-year-old war that has seen probably more a million casualties already. But this, of course, is a setback and illustrates that it is not that easy to convince Vladimir Putin, who, as it is reported, let Donald Trump even wait for this phone call. Both sides tried to make good statements, positive statements after the talk. Donald Trump said the negotiations will continue. Vladimir Putin, of course, is selling the call to his own people as success. The further discussions, of course, are planned, but clearly the disappointment here in the United States is palpable. Also, of course, in Kyiv, the Ukrainians have come on the side of the Americans only recently after the first showdowns, namely the one in the Oval Office. There is now the question how these peace negotiations can proceed, if it is really possible to find at least a 30-day ceasefire, which many people were saying was the first step towards peace. It is a complicated situation, and it was clear for Donald Trump on this Tuesday that peace to Ukraine will not come that easy. They were practically lost in space for 9 months, but they are finally on their way home to planet Earth. Of course, the talk is about the 2 astronauts, NASA astronauts, Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore, who were sent up to space to the International Space Station for a trip that was planned for 9 days. That has turned into a space odyssey of 9 months. Finally, they are on the way back. The Dragon space capsule left the International Space Station in a docking maneuver in the night to Tuesday and is now on its way towards the Earth atmosphere, and it will be splashing down after 6 p.m. on the East Coast in the Gulf of America, as it is now called under the directive of Donald Trump. Then, of course, the 2 astronauts will be saved, taken out the landing vehicle, which will be splashing down and will be transported to medical facilities, of course, to help them to re-enter, first of all, gravity and the atmosphere and everything else. There are medical tests planned. They will be staying there for a while, or for a few days, of course, can have first visitors, their families on Earth were, of course, living their lives for nearly a year, and these 2 astronauts have lost a lot of family time. Obviously, they have some kids in college, so this will be a very warm welcome in the United States. It is celebrated as a hero's welcome, of course, because over the 9 9 months, two of them have become celebrities, basically giving interviews from space many times. They were concerned about Suni Williams, that she has obviously lost some weight, health concerns, of course, but now this is all forgotten. They're all on their way back. The whole case has turned political as well during the last year's election season, as Donald Trump and the Republicans have accused the then President Joe Biden to have abandoned those astronauts in space. For a controversial figure here in the United States, Elon Musk, it is a great moment. Then he, of course, is the rescuer. His space company, SpaceX, is providing the ride down to Earth. Then, because, of course, everybody knows, they were stranded because a malfunctioning Boeing spacecraft that was bringing the two astronauts to the International Space Station. But then there were technical issues. It seemed too risky to give the astronauts a ride home in this Starliner capsule, and this was basically the reason why they were stuck in space for so long.